guys, and welcome to my 60k Magicka Warden build. This build hits like a truck, it has a massive damage shield, and it is very mobile thanks to running that great sword on our back bar. Big AoE burst. Check that build out, guys. So let's take a look at that build. So let's begin. To start off, we are a Nord Warden, and Nord is not the best race choice for this build, of course. Nord isn't terrible because we get the 6% damage reduction, which does affect the damage shields. However, you're much better off going for a max Magicka race. Breton, High Elf, Dark Elf are all going to be excellent race options. High Elf is probably going to be the best bet for this particular build. Breton will also do really well. Dark Elf will do well too, but there you go. That is what I gotta say. Nord is not the best race choice. I just have a Nord Warden, and I didn't want to level up or race change it or anything, so I left it as a Nord for this build, and I apologize, guys. But let's take a look at that max stat. We have 54,727 Magicka, and we're a Nord. So this build, if we were a proper race for that 10% Magicka bonus, we could have 60k Magicka on this build, guys. And of course, all my gear is not upgraded either. We could upgrade this gear further to get better max Magicka stat. But yeah, you could easily push 60k Magicka on this build. This gives us a massive damage shield and a lot of damage and a lot of healing. So it works really, really well for the Magicka Warden. And yeah, massive amounts of max Magicka. Our max health is coming in at 20k right now, but we do have the Emperorship Alliance bonus. So we actually normally have 18,000 health on this build, which is on the low side, but we have a huge max Magicka pool, so it's not a big deal as long as we keep that shield up. What do we got? We got a 15k damage shield. Look at our health bar here. We block with the Sigil. We almost cover the entire 20k health bar in the damage shield with the block. I think we actually cover the whole thing. There you see it. Very, very nice. Anyway, so yeah, we don't need a lot of max health. As long as we keep that shield up, we'll be okay. And then finally, we've got that 13k stamina. 13k to 14k is awesome for a Magicka build. Gives you a lot of stam to work with. You can do a lot of break free and roll dodging with it. So it works really well. Taking a look at our recoveries, we of course are going to buff up real quick for you guys too, so you can see our recoveries are pretty dope. Almost 2k Magicka recovery, 1900 recovery on this build. Very, very nice. And then our stam recovery is coming in at 1060. Also very nice too. The health recovery is really low. It's not a big deal because we are a vampire. And we don't need health recovery really for this build anyway, but that Magicka stamina recovery is really awesome. This is an awesome amount of mag recovery, maybe even a little bit on the lower side, but I think it's enough for this build. And then the stam recovery, if you have that 1k mark, it should be enough for the Mag Warden, especially since we've got a lot of well fitted on. We can do a lot of roll dodging, etc., and this recovery is going to come in real handy for that. So our spell damage buffed up is also on the lower side too. We have just under 1900 spell damage. When we use our infused weapon spell damage enchant off our staff here, we come up to 2,500 or so spell damage on this spec with the 55k Magicka. So yeah, we're sitting at a lot of damage for a Magicka build. If we had the favorable race, we'd have another 5k Magicka on top. The spell damage is not a huge focus of this build though, because of course we are focusing mainly on stacking that max Magicka. Our spell crit is coming in buffed at 48.9%, I believe, with our Mage Light on. So just about 50% spell crit is pretty good for light armor PvP. Our resistances when we fully buff are quite low, guys. We got 1800 spell, 18k spell, 16.5k physical resist, and only 1k crit resist. We are playing a max stat shield build. You do not need a lot of crit resist, and you do not need a lot of spell and physical resist for a build like this. Now, we still have some because you are going to get beat through your shield every now and then, but a majority of the damage you soak is going to be on that damage shield, so you don't need to worry about these resists too much. So we scroll down a little bit. The Mundus that we're running, of course, is the Mage Mundus. We are stacking max Magicka, so we run the Mage Mundus to help for that as well. And then the food that we're running is the Ice Scream food. And this is a holiday food called the Ghastly Eye, I believe. Where is it here? Ghastly Eye Bowl. And this is a really good food. It gives us max Magicka and Magicka recovery. Now this versus the Witch Mother, it'll give us more Magicka and more Magicka recovery than the Witch Mother, but the Witch Mother will give us the max health. Because we play such a large damage shield build, we really don't need the health, so I feel like Ghastly Eye Bowl is definitely the way to go for this build. It's a very cheap food to buy too, so there you go, guys. And of course, it's level 1, so it scales to your level. You can use it at any level on this build, and it'll be really good. So there you go. That is the food that we're using. And then finally, the potions on this build are subjective, up to you guys. I would recommend the Tri-Stat potions, give you all your resources back. It's a really good build. You got a lot of sustain, and the Tri-Stats play really well into giving you the extra sustain that you need if you get in those really heavy fights where you need it. So Tripod is a really good way to go, but any potion that gives you some Magicka back would be good as well. The Stam Sustain, you don't have to worry about too terribly much, but the Tripod does help for that too. Alright, so let's take a look at the gear that we're running to get these kind of stats, guys. So let's start off. We've got the One Piece Grothdar on for that One Piece Max Magicka. You guys are going to notice a theme in this build very fast. We've got the One Piece Damahouse on for that One Piece Max Magicka, and we get some Max Stam from it, which is really nice. We've got the 5-piece Necropotence, Magicka, Magicka, Magicka. Massive amount of Magicka when we have a pet out. Our Betty Netch, of course, counts for a pet, so we get the Necropotence buff off that Betty Netch. And then in the rings and necklace, we have gone with Ancient Grace. Max Magicka give us a 4% bonus to our Max Magicka. This is a PvP set that not a lot of people do use, but I've been using it a lot myself and really enjoying it. And then finally, the last set that we have on the build is the 2-piece Willpower in the weapons for that Max Magicka. And yeah, as you guys can see here, literally this entire build is built towards Max Magicka. You guys can call this gear Max Mag Spec if you want, because this is Max Mag Spec. You can't pull higher Max Magicka than with this gear here. The highest Max Mag you can pull in the game is with this setup. So there you go. We are in full Max Magicka spec for the Warden, and that's how we get 55k on our Nord. Absolutely insane. Absolutely insane. Anyway, let's take a look at the traits. So we're going to start with the weapon here. We have our Willpower Staff infused with the weapon spell damage enchant. And you want to go infused, even though this is our main weapon. Due to it being a ranged weapon, we have a really easy time proccing that infused enchant, and it is better than a base Nirnhoned enchant. So we're going to keep infused on this guy because it is on our staff, and that is the Inferno Staff as well. For the Greatsword, we have gone with Precise. Now, if you want to spend the gold, you can Nirnhoned this Greatsword. Nirnhoned is going to be particularly good because we do run Dawnbreaker of Smiting on the Greatsword bar for that AoE burst, and Nirnhoned will also give you a big boost to your healing too. However, we've gone with Precise just to give us a little bit of an increased crit rate to make up for the fact that we're not running Nirnhoned here. That'll give us a bonus to our damage and our healing as well. So that's why we went with the Precise. And then the enchant on this guy is totally up to you. You could even run poisons. Doesn't really matter. With your Greatsword, you don't get a lot of attacks off. That's why we go with the Nirnhoned, just for that healing and the damage off our ultimate. For the rings and necklace, guys, full Arcane. We are playing Max Mag Spec, so you definitely want to go full Arcane for that Max Magicka. You could go infused and you deal a little more damage, but you give up that damage shield. So full Arcane, boys. You definitely want to do full Arcane. The enchants on this, we have 1 spell damage, 1 stamina recovery, and 1 Magicka recovery. And yeah, we actually went with the Stam Magicka recovery here because we're running Max Mag Spec and we needed to get the sustain somewhere. And I thought, okay, we'll give up the spell damage so we can maintain the Max Mag. And that's exactly how we did it. We gave up the spell damage here for the sustain that we needed. And we did manage to keep 1 spell damage glyph as well. Now, this Stam glyph is only a purple glyph, so we would have a bit better Stam sustain if I had a gold glyph on here. But there you go. It's just because I put a temporary glyph on there. And then for the gear, guys, we have got a mix of infused and well-fitted. Now, right now, I am running 5 well-fitted and 2 infused. I think ideally for this build, you want to run 3 infused on your helm, your chest, and your legs, and then the little pieces are all going to be well-fitted. I just didn't have the right trait for my Grothdar helm here. And I'm also running a max stamina enchant on the Grothdar helm. Wow, so we could easily... I didn't even notice that. I just noticed that now. We've been playing this whole build with the max stam enchant on the Grothdar helm. We literally could have 56k Magicka on the Nord. We can definitely push 60 plus k Magicka on this build. Holy crap, big mistake for me here. I can't believe I missed that, guys. That is really funny. So there you go. We can easily push 56, maybe even 57k Magicka on this build, thanks to us getting really favorable stacking with the way that Warden works. So there you have it. Definitely want to go with 3 infused and 4 well-fitted. And then the enchants should be, for the most part, full max Magicka. Now, what you can do is max Magicka your infused pieces, and then Hacky Joe a couple of your little pieces if you need more stam. But it's not a huge deal. You want to focus on that max Magicka for the damage shield. So you definitely want to go with the full max mag enchants. And yeah. So let's take a look at the abilities that we're running on this build. So to start off, guys, we're going to take a look at our staff bar, because this is our primary offensive bar, is our Inferno staff here. And this is where all the burst really comes from. So to start off, our first ability here is Elemental Weapon, the Psijic skill line. And this is a really nice ability for a few reasons. Number one, it has the highest tooltip damage out of any single target spammable for a staff build. So there's that. Number two, it has a guaranteed chance to apply either Burning Concussion or Chilled when you use it, which is really, really nice. Get that guaranteed proc. And yeah, number three, it is finally a Psijic skill. And being a Psijic skill, it means that we get access to the increased damage shield when we block. Not super important, but because we have such a big damage shield on this bar, it allows us to further emphasize that defensive damage shield even more. Now, you guys don't have to use Elemental Weapon here. There is one downside to it, is that it only activates on a light attack. So if you do heavy or medium attack weaving, you're actually better off, I think, going for the Force Shock to Force Pulse Morph off the Destruction Staff. If you want to do more weaving. Now, if you just do a lot of light weaving, this is by far the best bet to go. So I'd recommend going with that one. The next ability we have is Flame Reach. This is going to be your primary stun for the build, and it's also going to be a good damage over time. And it is a fire attack, so it has a chance to apply the burning status for even more damage over time to your opponent. So a lot of damage over time coming from this ability, which is nice. And of course, we get that stun. It's going to be a big part of setting the combo on this build, using the Flame Reach for that stun. Now, a cool thing about the Elemental Weapon and Flame Reach combo is that you can actually go for like a Deep Fissure, Elemental Weapon without a light attack, and then do a light attack Flame Reach at the same time. It'll do the Elemental, the Flame Reach, and the Deep Fissure will go off, and you can deal a massive burst combo on this build by using these attacks together. But anyway, let's keep moving on. The next ability that we have is Dampen Magic. This is your primary defensive skill for this build. A 15k damage shield in PvP. 15k damage shield in PvP. People can't crit that. No Nightblade's going to gank you through this. Nothing's going to one-shot you through this by themselves. This is a huge damage shield, and it is going to be very, very strong defensively. And it goes even further when we mix it with the Living Trellis heal. Then it starts to get on another level of damage shield. But we'll get to that skill when we get there. But yeah, this is our primary damage shield. I highly recommend you take the Dampen Magic morph, not the Harness Magicka. The Harness Magicka is good for sustain, don't get me wrong, but because we only have one damage shield, we need to have it large. The bigger the damage shield is in PvP, the better, because burst damage is usually what's going to kill you. So having your damage shield last longer over the course of the fight, sure, that could be useful. You sustain longer, but if you're just going to die to that big burst anyway, you need that big damage shield. And because we have such a huge Magicka pool, we really get a powerful damage shield here. So yeah, definitely go with the Dampen Magic morph here. The next skill that we have is Inner Light. This is here for passive reasons. We get that max Magicka bonus of 5%, plus 2% for being a Mage's Guild skill. And then on top of it, we get that Major Prophecy buff for our spell crit as well. Mostly a passive slot. We can use it for the Stealth Detect as well. And then finally, the last normal ability we have is Deep Fissure. And I can buff up too for this one if you guys want to see the Deep Fissure tooltip. Compared to the previous Druid build, we are coming in at 16.2k Deep Fissure. That is right where we were at. The damage is exactly the same as it was. The sustain is the same. And we just have, honestly, a bigger damage shield than we used to. So there you go, massive Deep Fissure. And they changed this ability so it actually debuffs your opponent, giving them the Major Breach debuff. So we actually deal more damage than the old Druid build did because we get that debuff on this spec now. And then finally, guys, for the ultimate, we have gone with Northern Storm. And this is here because, well, we get that 8% max Magicka bonus. Permafrost is a really good ultimate, but we went with Northern Storm because we play the max Magicka spec. If we use this ultimate, we do get the major protection, and it does deal a lot of AoE damage as well as provide that massive AoE snare. So it is still a very strong and viable ultimate for this build as well. Taking a look at the Great Sword Bar, guys, the first skill that we have is Forward Momentum. This is for our Snare and Immobilize immunity. It's a nice little heal over time, but it's not a lot, so it doesn't really matter. It's mostly just here so that we can't get locked down on the Magicka spec by Snares and Immobilize. Very, very important, I think, to stay mobile on this build. The next skill that we have is Blue Betty. This is going to be access to the Major Sorcery buff, which we need to increase our damage, and it's also going to give us some Magicka back every second, which is really nice for 27 seconds. And then on top of it, this is a pet, so this will activate our Necropotent set, and it can remove a negative effect when we cast it. Completely free to cast, so we can just run around spamming this to remove negative effects. Very, very good skill for this build and just Warden in general. Probably one of Warden's best skills is the Blue Betty. Very underappreciated in how strong it is for PvP. The next skill that we have is Bird of Prey. Major Expedition, of course, we need that movement speed, and then the minor Berserk buff for that 8% increased damage. Very important for this build. And then we have Living Trellis, and this is our only heal for the build, and this is all you really need. Living Trellis and the damage shield. We fully buff our Living Trellis, 2,600 health each second. With the Major Mending buff, we get over 3k a second healing on the Living Trellis. And then, of course, we get the burst heal as we refresh it or if it expires, similar to kind of how Rally works. So there you go. Very, very, very strong heal over time and a strong burst heal. If we mix this with our damage shield, we have Living Trellis and the damage shield. Guys, I'm telling you, you are so hard to kill on this build. A single player will almost never be able to burst you down through the Trellis damage shield. So there you go, guys. Very, very strong. And then finally, the last ability we have is Ice Fortress. Now, this ability here I have slotted for the passive protection it gives. Minor protection's nice because it will affect our damage shields. And then the physical spell resist, of course, is going to affect us outside of our damage shields as well. But it's mostly there for the minor protection for the shields, and if we get caught with the shield down. You could definitely omit this skill if you want and run something else. A great option would be the crystallized shield morphed to the one that gives you the major heroism, just so you get more alt gain. I think that would be a really good option for this build. You don't need another heal here. Don't feel tempted to slot another heal. It's not necessary. I think crystallized shield to the alt gain morph would be the best way to go if you don't want to run the armor here, but you can run the armor too. I just thought I'd mention that this one's kind of up to you. And then finally, guys, for the ultimate, we are running Dawnbreaker of Smiting, like I had mentioned earlier. And Dawnbreaker of Smiting is here, of course, to deliver that nice big beatdown damage when we need it. Now, we've got almost a 15k tooltip on the Smiting, so it's not super huge. If we had that Nirnhone Greatsword, we would definitely be looking at a 16 to 17k Smiting tooltip for this build with the gold Nirnhone Greatsword. We just don't have it right now because honestly, guys, I make so many builds, I can't afford all this stuff. Feel free to send all your gold to @JackDaniel if you guys want to donate to the build fund. Seriously, I can't afford it all, so we weren't able to do the Nirnhone Greatsword here. We would be able to have a more impressive tooltip on the heals as well as the ultimate here. So finally, guys, let's take a look at the champion points that we're using for the build. So to start off in the tower tree, we have got 28 Warlord, 19 Sprinter, 3 in Bashing Focus, and 1 in Siphoner. And that's just because we had a few points left over. And we actually have 10 points left to put in here. And I think I'm going to put those guys into Tumbling for the most part, because Tumbling's important, and then maybe a little bit in Warlord and a couple in Sprint. There we go. So this is our tree, 31, 21, 3, Warlord, Sprinter, Bash. We got a Sprint, we've got a Break Free. Bash we don't do a ton of because we're on a mag build, and we play mostly at a distance. The Lover, we've got 56 Mooncalf, 64 Arcanist. Focus, of course, on Arcanist here, but don't neglect that Mooncalf. We don't have anything in Tenacity because we're not going to do a lot of heavies on this build. Most of our sustain's going to come from the Arcanist Mooncalf combo. Now, in the Shadow Tree, we have got 61 Tumbling and 23 Shadow Ward. Lots of roll dodging, and of course we can't neglect the block because you have to block in PvP as well. But the roll dodge is the focus here because we're going to be doing a lot of rolling, pairing really well with our Well-Fitted. Taking a look at the Apprentice Tree, we have got 50 Spell Erosion, 49 Elemental Expert, and 31 in Elfborn. Now, I'm just going to put the last 10 points in here like I should have done earlier, but I didn't because I'm a noob, and sometimes I don't do those things. So we go 56, 53, and 31. Focus on the flat damage increase and the penetration, not so much on the critical damage, simply because people run a lot of impen, etc. So we don't need to focus too much on the crits or the crit healing, but we did want to put some points in there not to neglect it. The important passive we get here, of course, is Spell Precision. Arcane Well can be really nice, returning some Magicka when we get a kill as well. So there is that. In the Atronach tree, we have got 81 Master at Arm and 39 Staff Expert. A majority of our attacks are affected by Master at Arms, so this is a great one to dump points. And then Staff Expert is really good too because we are using the Destruction Staff, and we want to bulk that incoming light and heavy attack damage with it. We're using the Psijic light attack ability, so we want to make sure our light attacks deal quite a bit of damage on this build too. The important passive we get, of course, is Tactician. roll dodge to set an opponent off balance. This allows us to have a cheeky little partial charged heavy stun when we set someone off balance as well, plus the bonuses of putting them off balance too. Nothing in the ritual, don't need it. In the steed tree, we have got 51 ironclad, 37 resistant, and 5 in spell shield. Big focus on ironclad to reduce incoming direct damage. Not a lot in resistant because, of course, we play that massive damage shield, so we don't really need it. And then just a little bit in spell shield because I honestly don't know why. A little bit in spell shield, a little bit of light armor focus, just to bulk these up a little bit, I think, to put those front heavy points in. In the lady tree, we've got 23 hardy, 23 elemental, and 26 thick-skinned. Hardy elemental to reduce the incoming physical and the magical damage that we take. And then, of course, thick-skinned is so great to reduce that incoming damage over time. I'm actually going to put a few more points into the thick skin here, and a couple more points. And we'll put a couple points in the healing. And then in the Lord tree, guys, we have got 19 quick recovery. We're going to bulk that up just a little bit to 23. We've got 61 in Bastion for that 21% increased damage shield, and then 1 in Elemental Defender. Very huge focus on Bastion here because we have that massive damage shield, and this is what we're emphasizing with it. A big part of our sustain comes from the Vines and Bastion combo. So Bastion, first of all, a little bit of healing for Vines secondarily. But there you go, guys. That is the champion points. I hope that you guys enjoyed.
All right, guys, so let's do some PvP commentary. So to begin here, we're going to be defending this resource from these pesky blues. And as you can see, we hit that guy with our full combo, the Deep Fissure, into the Flame Staff knockback and the Imbue weapon. Massive amounts of damage, just tear him apart. Very nice. And now we're just going to kind of retreat here. We go for a few Betty Netches just to purge the curses and ambient effects on us, but we don't manage to get them all. We rebuff and go back outside. I'm thinking Jordan's at my back here, so I'm in my ultimate here, jumping on top of these guys, and then I realize that I am by myself and he did not come with me. We take a nasty soul assault there. Make sure to keep our shields up as we go inside there and roll dodge as well to make sure we dodge some of those attacks as well as soak up the other damage with our shield, and make sure to keep the vines up as well. If any damage gets through our shield, the vines is going to be really great for the healing. On top of it, vines is going to return a lot of extra resource for you. Because it is a green balance ability. So anyway, we are continuing to fight these guys in the tower now. Jordan goes into his ultimate as this Nightblade jumps on top of us, so he gets a nasty stun and snare from that ultimate, and we just hit him with our Deep Fissure combo, and he just goes right down. This guy just ends up jumping off the edge, and Jordan goes down after him, and I'm left up in the tower to fight on my lonesome. So here we go. We take a meteor from the Sork from behind. What we should have done is gone for the roll dodge and then gone for the block after our roll. If you roll right away, then you have time to block the end of the meteor, and you don't get stunned by the meteor, and you end up blocking it. And the roll dodge will also dodge that rune cage. There you can see, though, we're just going to keep kiting in between these pillars here. We take another nasty soul assault, and we make sure to keep our shields up and our vines up. Stay very, very tanky. Our health gets threatened. The first thing we do is go right into our damage shield, and the vines just kind of heals us away. We don't have to do much actual healing on this build outside of just keeping our shield up and making sure that the vines are up as well. Kind of like a shield stack on a Sork, but you use vines instead of another shield. But anyway, we put a lot of damage into the other blue players there, and now I think it's just this Sork here, so we're going to be fighting him. Oh, another Nightblade jumps on top of us there, and I go for the shield, the roll dodge into the Dawnbreaker, get some great damage on those guys. Jordan comes up with his ultimate as well, putting some huge damage into them again, and we managed to take the Nightblade down, and now it is, I believe, just the Sork left. And this Sork fights really well this entire fight. He does not go down the whole time. A lot of blue reinforcements show up, and he continues to elude defeat. And he does a great job. But anyway, here you can see we've got another Sork that's come in, and we're just going to continue to fight them there. Make sure that we purge a bit of the curses. Make sure we go into our damage shield and Betty Netch a little bit and keep the vines up. Do some roll dodging there. We managed to get out of that meteor, no problems. The other Sork, I believe, just ends up running away. He doesn't stay around for the fight, so we're just left to fight this guy again. He just abandons the 2v2. Oh, my lord. Oh, well, maybe next time. So we just continue to put some damage into this Sork here. We put a nice combo on him there, and he does a great kind of defensive play there. But now Jordan's on top of him too, so he's forced to kite us out now. And here comes some blue reinforcements yet again. A Nightblade comes up the stairs. We put some awesome damage into him. Great stun with the knockback as well. But it's not enough. And there you see Jordan gets huge combo from the enemy Sork as well as the enemy Nightblade jumping on him. And he ends up going down super fast. And now we're just going to do a little bit of kite game, split these guys up a tad, see if I can maybe sneak a res up on Jordan here. So we go all the way to the top, hold block, and drop down, and then we go for maybe attempting a res there. Doesn't work out. We take the rune cage into the meteor again, respond quickly with a damage shield right into our vines afterwards, and then go for our armor buff as well. Make sure we get fully buffed there. Making sure to keep that Betty up at all times, important for our damage buffs as well as our sustain. There you see that massive Dawnbreaker combo on that guy there on the werewolf, absolutely tearing him apart. Just a little light attack poke to bring him down, and then we come right back to Jordan's body here. Hopefully we can get this res. Oh my lord, we're gonna keep trying. We get a really good combo off on that Sork there. We catch him with the off balance stun with the partial charge greatsword heavy, almost kill him. Nice little combo there, but then we see the rune cage come yet again, and we're gonna have to peel on out of here. Just taking a lot of stuns, etc. And we just peel up the stairs, come right back down, drop the Dawnbreaker on this guy for a big Dawnbreaker, but it's no damage against his shield. This time he's ready, and he ends up just brushing it off, no problem. He ends up going to stop our res there, so we roll dodge and cast the Fire Staff knockback, stunning him, dodging his rune cage as well. And we just peel out of there yet again. He goes for another rune cage here. We end up dodging it as well. We go for a rebuff on our abilities. Make sure to recast our vines, recast our Betty, make sure all our buffs are up. And now what we're going to do, I believe, is just set that offensive combo. See if we can catch somebody with a good smack here. So we attempt to stun the Sork, but it doesn't work. He has the CC immunity up. He gets us with the rune cage. We just break it, go for the shield right away, and then come back behind the wall here. Another meteor is coming down. We make sure to block the meteor this time because we got a lot of burst incoming from both these players. So we end up getting out of that one just fine, casting the meteor and rolling. And here we set the deep fissure into the Dawnbreaker. Big damage here. We end up not being able to finish the kill with the light attack and Bew pokes. So we just peel back around the side here, and we're going to put some more pressure into them as we loop back over. Making sure to keep that movement up. We have to maintain that movement, guys. Otherwise, we'll get locked in place and absolutely shredded if we get too many players jumping on us. We catch this guy unawares, not paying attention. We bring him down. And this last guy here goes for the res. Wrong call. We're going to get him with a combo there as well and bring him down. And this Sork here ends up retreating out of the tower, but great fight to him. He made it through that whole fight, and no shame in being the last one to survive. And there you go, guys. EP ends up coming and cleaning up the rest of the fight. So this next clip here is another kind of group fight that I had with Jordan, and we're going to be poking the Bumblebee Hive this time, just kind of attacking yellows outside their keep here, trying to get the hordes to follow us. And as you can see, we're just going to do a little bit of tanking at the front lines here, keeping our shield up, keeping our vines up, making sure to roll as soon as we take some bad attacks. Here you see we get pulled out of position. We go for the dodge roll coming out of that. Make sure to keep our greatsword immobilized up as well as we sprint out of that. And now we're just going to turn around and kind of re-engage with these guys. Made a little bit of distance with the Zerg. Our goal is to get them up against these trees here so we can kind of catch them in a good little combo. At least that's what we want to do, so we're going to try. These guys continue to follow us. We just keep poking them, and the guy chains me in yet again, chains Jordan too. We go for our deep fissure combo into the Dawnbreaker. Jordan goes for his ultimate too. We put a lot of damage into this guy, but he's quite tanky. We still managed to take him down though, and we're just going to turn and continue to attack these guys here. Trying to avoid that DK's wings right now. Get a good stun off on this guy. Go for the imbue weapon. Bogdan coming in clutch, actually saving him there. So Bogdan saving the day. He ends up not dying, and we're just going to retreat just a little bit more as yellow begins to pile up here. So we peel just a little bit behind the rocks here until they're in position on the trees where we kind of want them. And as we get them in position, they see them kind of covering around the trees perfect. We're going to turn around and we're going to re-engage with these guys. We buff up, shield up, go for the deep fissure combo there into a stun, put a little bit of damage into the guy at the front there. Jordan put some pepper into them as well. We throw our fields down on the tree, and another EP player jumps in, and we got a very tanky EP Nightblade that jumps in and does the final bit that we need to pull these guys on the tree. They all follow him, and here me and Jordan both go for our ultimates. We put a lot of damage into these guys, holding them with that snare, choosing to go for the snare, not the Dawnbreaker burst there. Just to pair well with Jordan, and we put some good damage into these guys, but they are fairly tanky. We're going to keep trying. We're going to keep trying. And yeah, we actually managed to take one of them down, and we're going to keep putting some pressure on. Make sure to keep that deep fissure down. The deep fissure is really nice because it's going to be debuffing for Jordan as well. The AoE debuff is very, very strong, I think. One of the best things about that skill, and I know it lost the stun, guys. I know that's sad. But the AoE debuff is honestly really nice. So as you can see, we managed to break the group a little bit. We kill a few of them, and we're just going to keep pushing into them now as the momentum has shifted, and now they're kind of on the back pedal. We put a great combo into this guy. He goes for the ambush after the combo like that. Maybe not the best call, because if we had got a crit, we probably would have killed him there. But we just keep putting pressure into these guys. There's a guy in the back there. We get him with the imbue weapon. Yes, we do. He goes down, and we just reset our buffs here as we kind of got a little bit carried away, but it's all right. EP's coming in to win that push anyway. All right, so this next fight, we are inside a keep, and we're by ourselves, so we're going to be trying to do the best that we can to just stall this siege and maybe pull people away from the siege. And, you know, this may not be, like, a super effective strategy, because if the group is large to a size, like, there's no way we could really wipe them. However, if we can do something like this and just pester a few players and pull them apart, we weaken the group as a whole, and we make it easier for another group to come and wipe them in the future, and even maybe just a smaller group of players to come and just kill half of them off, allowing us to finish the other half as well. So we're just going to keep pestering these guys, shooting some stuff at them, keeping our defenses up, making sure to keep that shield up and keep the vines up. Have to keep those defenses up, but it keeps us very tanky. As you can see, we can take a little bit of abuse from these guys, and we're just we're gonna be able to brush it off. So here we're just gonna be trolling these guys a little bit. They're trying to go for the res on their fellow player here. We're gonna keep stunning them, put some actually good damage into this guy with the imbue weapon at a distance, and then we get another nice stun off there, but he manages to res the player, and we just stun the player that they resed. And now I think we've caused enough trouble that Blue has decided it's time to just send some people my way, which is perfect because they're going to be opening the door soon, and the fewer people they have on that front door, like I said, guys, the better chance the rest of our faction has of winning this. So we do a defensive play, we come back up into the tower here, a little bit of retreat, reset with our deep fissure combo, and a little bit of lag. They do follow me up, though, and I end up falling off, just peel back around the inside, go for the deep fissure here, go for the stun on this guy, and get a massive combo on him there, and do another light attack poke with the imbue weapon to bring him down. This player here attempts to go for the res on him. We go for a deep fissure on him. He does a great job roll dodging instead of sticking to the res, which was an awesome call. And we put a lot of damage into him here, but he ends up going for the resto ult, and we are unable to finish him off there. So we just retreat back into the safety of our tower here. A sniper here taking a bit of damage from the NPCs. Maybe not the best call, so we end up putting him down. This guy goes for the res again. We bash him this time. A lot of damage off the bash, and we almost finish him off, but he ends up retreating yet again. And I think we are able to successfully defend these bodies a little bit longer. He's going to go for the res. This guy goes for it inside of the AoE, and oh man, he just didn't see us drop down. So we end up finishing him off too. And as we come out of this keep, you guys can see Ebonheart Pact has pushed in, and the group, of course, was split up when it really shouldn't have been. You can see them just kind of all over the place here, and yeah, it worked perfectly. We were able to buy enough time. You know, maybe we didn't do everything, but it was something. We helped for the pact. All right, and for the last clip, guys, we have a little bit of burst inside of a tower here, but I think we have had, oh my gosh, that nice big combo there. These guys just keep running in. Oh no, they just keep running in. This is going to be another one. We just set that combo, and we're just waiting for them. We're just waiting for them to run in. This guy runs in, going for a res. Bad call. There's even an EP archer up top there shooting at them.
I mean, this is not... Oh, man. We're just doing our job here. We're laying these guys down like we should be here. This guy tries to come in with his shields up, but we end up stunning him, putting big damage into him, and the Sork there finishes him off as well. Oh, my lord. Anyway, guys, I hope that you enjoyed watching this build. I hope that you enjoyed the build video. If you did, feel free to hit that like button. If you guys are new here and you like this build and you want to see more from me, hit that subscribe button. Seriously, guys, I have so many builds, so check out my very large build arsenal. I've been playing since this game came out. And yeah, come check me out on Twitch if you guys want to catch me in the live streams. We do all of this gameplay on the live stream, so you guys can watch it all live if that's your flavor. And finally, guys, we are sponsored by What the Fast. They give you better ping to your favorite games, so if you have bad ping, it is 100% free to try, no card to sign up, so you guys can give it a shot. And that's it, guys. Thank you for tuning in. See you next time.